Alright, let's get into the next one. We've got Garry making his next fight in the UFC. This is his second fight in the UFC after beating Jordan Williams by first round knockout. And a fight that he was losing, man. And that's what I'm going to be talking about here today. I think Darian Weeks on the full camp is a live dog. He's a live dog on this fight, guys. He came into the UFC at 5-0. He's meant to fight Dana White's Contender Series. I think he was meant to fight Josh Quinlan. But unfortunately, I think he pulled out of that fight there. But he still got the call up on short notice to fight Bryan Barberena. And he fought him on short notice. And in my opinion, man, like he put on a pretty good performance. In fact, a lot of people actually do sort of argue that there's a chance of Darian Weeks actually beat Bryan Barberena on short notice, which is a very good sort of fight. Garry, though, I think the UFC threw him up against Jordan Williams, expecting him to destroy Jordan Williams. Jordan Williams had a lot of success in that kind of fight on the feet as well. So I think now they're kind of giving him Darian Weeks, thinking that Darian Weeks is going to be an easier level of competition, but Darian Weeks is a live dog, man. He's so live to win this fight. But I'm going to be picking Garry, and I am picking Garry to win the fight. But I do think that the odds here are a little bit scary because I think that there's just so much hype behind the name Garry that people are putting money down, and it's made the line a lot wider than what I would expect it to be. So, like, kind of, I'm not really saying to throw down on Weeks, but I'm just saying like $10 on Weeks is going to return you a lot more than $10 on Garry. I mean, yes, you may lose $10, but I'm saying, man, you could get some money too out of it. And then that's all I'm saying. But Darian Weeks, man, I like Weeks. Even if you look at his UFC stats, I think he actually outlanded Bryan Barberena in his last fight. And he also took him down like 3 times for a decent amount of control time as well in his in his 15-minute fight there. As for Garry, though, yeah, as once again, like as I was saying, he was losing to yeah, that's the thing. He outlanded Bryan Barberena and took him down 4 times, and he still managed to lose a decision, which is pretty interesting, man. I guess the fight was just pretty close, but hey, there is definitely an argument to be made that Darian Weeks did win this fight. But he threw 200 strikes on a short notice, so you know he's got cardio. He's got cardio to fight 3 rounds if he needs to. Jordan Williams was outlanding Garry before he knocked him out at the very end of the first round, so I guess that's kind of cool, but that's Jordan Williams. Like, no real disrespect to Jordan Williams. Like, I do respect him, but he is, Jordan Williams doesn't really have the good chin, and he is a diabetic as well, so unfortunately for him, he kind of does fight a lot of battles outside of the cage as well, so that win doesn't look too good. But prior to that, though, he looked awesome on Cage Warriors. He beat him by decision. He knocked out Rostem Akman, who's actually a very good a European fighter as well. And yeah, prior to that, he was looking pretty good on Cage Warriors. The UFC have signed him at only 24 years old, obviously expecting him to become a big name. But he's got to get over Darian Weeks first. I am picking Garry to win by KO. And there's a chance that Garry just has a shutout performance and looks amazing on this one. But there's also a chance that Garry that showed up to Jordan Williams shows up here, and he doesn't quite have as much success as Darian Weeks. If Darian Weeks cashes as a massive underdog, like, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. I am picking Garry here, but I feel like so many people are just sleeping on Darian Weeks. Darian Weeks is underrated on this fight, guys. He really is. He may not have the highest level of competition outside of the UFC. I mean, the Dustin Parrish, when doesn't really look too bad now in 8-3. The Bryan Barberena fight as well, I think, is where you've got to put the most stock. You know, he hasn't really fought the highest level of competition outside of the UFC, but that Bryan Barberena fight, hey man, like, short notice, and he showed up. He really showed up. So if you can kind of base those two sort of performances together, Darian Weeks has got a shot at winning this fight. But I'm picking Garry as a big favourite here. But I am weary. I'm very weary that a lot of money is probably just coming on Garry because he's hyped up. I'm picking Garry by KO, but Darian Weeks is a live dog on this one, man. He's so live. And yeah, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.